morning, Pastor Steve here. Back into Philippians again, chapter 1, about in verse 20. Paul says, "My confident hope is that I will in no way be ashamed, but that with complete boldness, even now as always, Christ will be exalted in my body, whether I live or die. For to me to live is Christ, and to die is gain." There's an old saying, only one life will soon be past, only what's done for Christ will last. There's a truth in that, but sometimes it's hard to realize in the mundane living of life. If I live, Paul said, I'll live for Christ. I'll be his servant. I'll be subject to his will. Paul told Timothy over in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 4, active soldiers, active duty soldiers, don't get tied up in the affairs of civilian life, for then they cannot please their commanding officer. Living is hard when you live for Christ. It is. DC Talk, remember years ago, said some Christians haven't even attempted to think about whether or not they would die for Christ because they haven't really been living for him. Something to think about. I think the idea here is seeking first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, don't you? Seeking first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Make that be your number one priority. D.L. Moody said one time, the world has yet to see what God can do through a man totally sold out to him. Then he said, let me be that man. Our desire, when we realize that the great sacrifice that Christ has made for us, should be to go on and live for him. Dying for him is out of our hands. But 2 Corinthians 5:15 says, he died for us so that those who live should no longer live for themselves, but for him who died for them and was raised. Bob Dylan years ago put it this way in his Christian phase, you're going to serve somebody. Yes, indeed, you're going to have to serve somebody. It may be the devil or it may be the Lord, but you're going to have to serve somebody. You are. Who are you going to serve? Who are you going to serve? I like what Joshua said when it was his turn. He said, hey, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Pastor Steve.